Hi everyone, I'm Laura Morningstar and I'm back with you again this week to chat about my experiences of having a chronic illness and how that's impacted upon my work and how it's changed my working life. I'm just going to minimize this window here. How do I do that? Like that. So for me personally, and now you've all disappeared, so if anyone asks me a question, I'm not going to see it. Hold on a moment. I'm not brilliant with tech. I'm going to let you know that now. Okay, so before I got sick, I'd spent 10 to 15 years working within the holistic health industry. And I'm going to say before I got sick, but what I mean by that is before the previous 2 years. So up until 2 years ago, I'd spent 15 years working in the health and wellness industry. And I'm categorizing it that way because the more we research into my chronic illness and I'm working with the doctors to discover what it is that I have got, the more we can see where symptoms maybe started years and years ago. So up till 2 years ago, I worked in the holistic health industry and I worked as a holistic therapist and I was qualified as a clinical and holistic aromatherapist. I was a qualified massage therapist, rehabilitative massage therapist. I worked as a reflexologist and I worked with my clients with life coaching as well. Over the years, that changed and adapted to me, including women's fertility services. So I would help couples who are trying for a baby, and then I started to work with people who were pregnant and did hypnobirthing, and I became a doula as well. And a doula is a basically holistic birth partner that sits outside the role of a midwife and is just there for the woman and her partner's support. But they could be quite often, when you're attending a birth, very, very long hours attached to that. And then that changed a little bit again, and I went into just working with women who were having issues around touch, around finding themselves again after birth, around finding themselves maybe through any of the life events that we as women go through, such as menopause, pregnancy, miscarriage, heartache. And that was really fulfilling. And I'm always been one that's been a person who's been able to adapt and change, which I suppose is quite lucky when I get further through that story. And so about 18 months ago, finding that actually a lot of my clients were coming to me with very similar issues. Fertility and reproductive health was a major issue. Body confidence and self-love was a major issue. And also feeling comfortable within your own skin was a major issue that my clients were coming to me with. I was seeing a lot of people with long-term health problems, chronic illnesses, and we were tracking the scale these problems through and seeing that there was a truly holistic need to approach this and find a solution for a lot of these clients. So I trained as a personal trainer as well. And that was only 18 months ago. So I was already starting to be ill. I was already struggling to work. But at that time, I was in a position where I was still managing a level of physical activity. Okay, I needed to maybe rest or have some downtime every now and then. But I was still at the gym myself for an hour and a half every day. And I was walking between 3 to 8 miles every day. So I was quite active, very fit. But then as time wore on, I found that I was struggling to coach my clients. I was struggling to stay focused when we were having conversation. We'd be working through an exercise and I'd have total memory blank, forgetfulness, mind fog as to what it was that we were doing. I would have to continuously ask for people to repeat what it was that they just said. There were days when the lethargy and fatigue just totally wiped me out and I was having to cancel appointments left, right and centre. It became very quickly apparent that my own fitness was waning as I was walking less and less and less each day. It got to a point where I wasn't even doing the school run, and I lost all ability to be able to get to the gym, let alone do a gym workout. So all these strands of my career that I'd had and that I'd been working for and towards for 15 years to bring together into this very cohesive, holistic package started to disintegrate. I couldn't massage because the pain in my joints, and it's not too swollen today, but the pain in my hands and my thumb joints and my knuckles was too intense. So I couldn't massage, I couldn't exercise, I couldn't offer life coaching to the same level. There was no way that I could attend a birth because I just couldn't be on call for someone not knowing how my health was going to be. And so I just saw my life's work and my life's dream begin to crumble away. And that put me in a funk for about 6 months, where I wasn't working, I wasn't earning anything. I just hit pretty much rock bottom. Physically, my health was continuing to deteriorate, had a lot of personal drama going on in the background that had nothing to do with illness or work. And yeah, I didn't know what to do. And for me, what helped was I started to watch an old video of the Paralympics on YouTube. And I reread the Reach for the Sky, which is the story of Douglas Bader, an RAF pilot in World War II who lost both of his legs and continued to fly. And I was able to see that people can still achieve even when they are faced with difficult paths that life's thrown to them. I read a couple of books, autobiographies about people who have, in fact, chronic illnesses and have continued to build successful businesses. And the one thing that struck true for me in this is that they'd maybe had a dream, and their dream didn't include a disability. It didn't include a chronic illness. It didn't include health issues that would change the path of their life. But what they all had done is re-look at what that dream was in light of what their new normal was going to be. So for me, what worked was going, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm in a very fortunate position that I'm self-employed. I'm not having to turn up each and every day for an employer. So I can't do this anymore. I don't feel in a position where I really want to go and have an employer again, because I've been self-employed and freelancing for all of my working life, pretty much, apart from a paper round. What can I do? And so what I decided was that what I could do is basically do a SWOT analysis, what my strengths were, my weaknesses. Can never remember what O is, and I can never remember what T is, but basically a SWOT analysis. And I looked at what dreams I'd had, what things had I ever wanted to do, what could I do, what skill sets did I have that I could rework into something that would be workable, would earn me an income, and would, if I was going to put so many spoons into that thing each day, would warrant the number of spoons that was going to be given to it. Because by this point, I'd literally got to a point where all I was doing was getting up with the kids, waving goodbye to them at school as they went to school, laying on the sofa for a couple of hours sleeping, maybe having a few hours talking with my partner, kids getting back from school, eating some tea with my partner, and then just watching TV. I wasn't being very active, and that was exhausting me on its own. And for me, what I realized is that I'd always wanted to be a writer, so I could take my skills from holistic health and from personal training and from natural health and use them to create a blog. And that blog could focus on those as a whole just on their own, but also those and how they can aid and help chronic illness, or how chronic illness sits alongside them. Now, that hasn't actually been what's happened. What's happened is that my blog's turned into a bit of a book blog, and I'm trying to pull it back around to that right now. So I suppose this isn't necessarily a tips thing. It's more of this is my journey through. But if I was going to say take anything away, is whether you're employed or self-employed, your normal has changed. Being diagnosed with a chronic illness changes what your normal is. It hasn't got to be the focus of your life, but it changes the direction slightly. You can still get to point B, but you might take the longer wiggly route rather than the more direct route that you were going. So whatever you need to do, whether that's if you're self-employed and you can still do the thing that you love doing, reassessing hours, reassessing how many clients you take on, looking at whether you can, what's the word? Freelance work out to a personal assistant, a virtual assistant or something, and get other people to do bits that would drain you, and so you can focus on what it is that you love to do. If you're employed, look at, are there any projects that you aren't necessarily essential for that you could drop? Talk to your managers, let people know how you're struggling. And I'm not saying that's easy, because I've read forums and forums and forums of people who've said that they've had very, very unsupportive managers. But you can still get to where you want to be as well. And I hope that more and more employers are becoming supportive of people with health issues. I also know that lots of people with chronic illnesses, when find themselves in a position where they aren't able to go into their jobs that they've loved anymore and go through that kind of grief process that I did, self-employment is a good option. It does allow you to kind of dictate your own hours. It allows you to choose which work you take on and which work you don't. It allows you to follow a passion and to, really do something that you love and care about. And I know that many people who are in employment are doing that. You have nurses, doctors, midwives, doulas. That's just a few people that I know, all of whom have chronic illnesses and all of whom are trying to find ways to work through that. But it is about looking at how your working life is impacting on everything else, because work is just one thing. We have, when you look at the spoon theory, we have only a set amount of spoons each day, and if work's taking up quite a large chunk of them, it has, in my opinion, has to be something that's serving to you as well. And that's what I've managed to create from my own experience, but it wasn't easy. It's not been a case of just going, I'm going to switch from doing this to doing this. It's been a case of really soul searching as to what was going to make me happy, and closing my business, 15 years of work and time and effort and love and care and amazing clients and wonderful experiences, was heartbreaking. I had to grieve for that. It was not an easy decision to come to. It's not a decision that didn't come without a lot of people going, why? You look fine to me. You look healthy. It wasn't a decision that came without people judging. It wasn't a decision that came without people putting in their own two penn'orth. But what I was lucky is that the majority of people were wonderfully supportive. The majority of people could see how painful that decision had been for me to make and were really caring. And my past clients were absolutely amazing. I'm so lucky to have them. So yeah, that's been my experiences with work and having a chronic illness. It's not the easiest video actually for me to do because I'm still kind of grieving for my business. And I know that I am lucky because I am self-employed, and because I was self-employed when I started to get sick, I could kind of work around it for a long time. I didn't have to take sick days, but then on days where I wasn't working, I wasn't getting paid. So it had a major knock-on effect on my finances. But there are solutions, there are ways around, there are things that you can do. It's not as bleak as you think. Or you might feel right now. And I'm sure that there's loads and loads of very wise people within the ZubiaLive community and within the chronic illness community that can point you in the right direction for support and help and guidance, whichever country you are watching this from. Okay, so that's just my little video on working with a chronic illness and what I found has helped me and what my experiences have been of that. I'm really looking forward to next week's video as well, where I'm going to be chatting about getting back to exercise after a flare, which is something I'm really passionate about and allows me to bring in all those skills that I had in that previous career and share them with you as well. So I'm going to say bye for now and thank you for watching. Bye.